Ladies and gentlemen, over the next few months, Rohingyas is going to be a term you hear more often as it already garners center stage in poll pound Delhi this time. But what's the reality to the claims and counters being made? A day after the Delhi LG ordered for identification of illegal immigrants in Delhi, calling for stringent and time-bound action, cops reached a Rohingya settlement in Delhi. It was in the last week of November that BJP MP Manjinder Sirsa, Delhi BJP MLA, in fact made some very strong allegations saying he has found numerous new voters in his constituency. All men aged 30, 40 or even 50. How can someone of this age be a new voter unless they have shifted illegally or have been planted? He's accused the Aam Aadmi Party MLAs of directly being involved in strategically adding these illegal voters to the list. Former Chief Minister of Delhi and the Aam Aadmi Party head, Arvind Kejriwal, has questioned this, asking who brought Rohingyas to Delhi from Burma and Bangladesh. How did they cross the border? It is the responsibility of Amit Shah. Why has Delhi police not arrested them yet? If they are in Delhi, why isn't action being taken? Home Minister and police are aware of their locations, while the centre is accusing me of settling Rohingyas here. While all of this political rhetoric and back and forth goes on, who are Rohingyas? Illegal migrants, according to India. In a submission to the Supreme Court, the government asserted that these migrants do not possess a fundamental right to reside and settle in India. The government also clarified that India does not recognize UNHCR refugee cards, which some Rohingya Muslims have obtained to claim refugee status. So then, how do they get voting rights? Is there anything to this beyond rhetoric? We'll try and understand this threadbare, but let me open this up to my panelists at this point. I'm being joined by Manish Bariyar, who's a political analyst, Shelley Oberoi, who's a spokesperson for Aam Aadmi Party, Aditya Pratap, who's an advocate, Atiq Ur Rehman, who's a political analyst, Ellen Rao, the former DCP for Delhi and a lawyer as well. Thank you very much. Very good evening to all of you. Aditya Pratap, if I can come to you first. What do you make out of this to people who may be absolutely uninitiated in this? Do Rohingyas have a right to citizenship? Government says they are illegal. Then where do voting rights really come about?
No, see, well, that is the point. How they got citizenship is a major concern. In India, we have a law called the Foreigners Act. Yes, the police have the power to implement the Foreigners Act in letter and spirit. Section 3 of the Foreigners Act of 1946 states that the central government has wide powers to make regulations pertaining to foreigners, including where they stay, where they reside, giving them directions, asking their proofs of identity and other things. Now, obviously, Rohingyas entered the country by way of purported refugee status. They have no rights to citizenship. They were only here for a temporary stay, and they are governed by the Foreigners Act. And in fact, if they have overstayed their mandate, because the central government has wide powers to make rules, and if they have overstayed the mandate, the police is at liberty to arrest them and even deport them. And it is important to note that under the Foreigners Act, punishment is up to 5 years for overstaying or other things. So in my opinion, when the police are visiting the purported Rohingya refugees and they are asking their proofs of identity, making inquiries into how their names are entered into the voter lists, this will indeed open a can of worms, because since 1946, before independence, we have had the Foreigners Act. And if this act is to be implemented by the police in letter and spirit. And further, even if you see the CRPC, now we have the BNS and the BNSS. Police have the powers to even arrest a person if he refuses to give his, names and residence, and the police have the power, and the person is bound to provide his name, address, information as and when questioned by a police officer. So I view this entire exercise as exercise of powers by the police, and clearly the procedure for obtaining citizenship is governed by the Citizenship Act of 1946, the Citizenship Act. And moreover, apart from that, we have the Citizenship Amendment Act also, which has laid down certain criteria as to who can apply for refugees. Clearly, who can apply for citizenship. Clearly, the Rohingya
Aditya,
refugees do not have
Aditya,
the
let me just come
liberty
in
of
at this
applying
time
for
and ask you a
citizenship
very
as such.
simple
And
question.
yes.
For the uninitiated, when you talk about Rohingyas, is there anything called legal migrants when it comes to Rohingyas? Or are all Rohingyas or Rohingya migrants to India illegal?
Well, see, for that, there is a broad spectrum of rules laid down by the central government in this perspective. And if, because the Foreigners Act has only 14 sections. Now, as far as Rohingya migrants are concerned, central government is competent to pass orders directing to deport them. It is competent if they have overstayed, because clearly they don't have the right to stay forever in the country. The conditions of war have ceased. And in fact, the central government has constantly passed several orders to that effect, that they cannot stay.
Right. Atiq Ur Rehman, if I can get you
Central
in here.
government
Atiq
has
Ur
constantly
Rehman,
passed orders that...
the government has very clearly told the Supreme Court that Rohingyas are illegal migrants. They do not have refugee status in India. Now, if that is what the reality is, where does the documentation, the right to vote even come into the picture?
You are correct. We would have agreed with the BJP's claim that the Rohingyas do not have a right to have a permanent residency in India since they are refugees. We would have agreed vis-a-vis that the Rohingyas are illegal migrants. They are occupying spaces in India within Delhi. Why we would have agreed to the BJP is if they have immediately taken action when they came to power 10 years back. As our lawyer friend has just mentioned, that the Indian government have superior powers to deport any foreigners who are illegally occupying spaces in India. Why this exercise was not done by the BJP 9 years back? Why is this exercise being taken up by them just before the Delhi elections? Point number one. Second point is that the Election Commission has entire powers to issue voter identity cards. If they have issued the voter identity cards and they are found to be illegal right now, just before the elections, this is a big question mark on the Election Commission of India. Third important point is, I would like to expose the BJP vis-a-vis their anti-human, communal, anti-Islam and anti-Muslim agenda. The same Rohingyas who are persecuted in Burma, they have objections to their entry into India, but the same persecuted Hindus, when they enter Assam and West Bengal from Bangladesh, they are also persecuted. And the Rohingyas are also persecuted. But the persecuted minorities have a religion for the BJP if they are Muslims. But they do not count Hindus.
Okay, I get your point. You're bringing in the whole Citizenship Amendment Act into the picture as well. So to the questions of the Election Commission that you have asked, Atiq Ur Rehman, we do have O.P. Rawat with us. We'll go to him in a bit. But very quickly to Manish Bariyar. Manish Bariyar, questions being raised by the panelists as well as your political opponents that why didn't BJP take a action? Why didn't BJP act 9 years ago?
Good evening, Sneha ji, and all to my fellow panelists. I would like to first reply and, in fact, contradict what Mr. Atiq Ur Rehman is speaking. See, if you look at Bangladesh, so Bangladesh is a Muslim majority nation, and even they have kept Rohingyas in Cox's Bazar, limited to that, and they have given them one island for settlement, and they are very clear that they are going back to Burma. If you look at other countries like Malaysia, especially Indonesia, again, it's an Islamic country, but they have deported Rohingyas back to Burma or Myanmar. So for him to make an argument of something similar is, I don't think it is in right spirit. It is not being about Hindus or Muslims. I think it is important for us to understand that they are a problem for our country. Our country is already, highly populous, and they are illegal migrants. Is as simple as that. Now, along with that, there is also politics being played around these, I would say, hapless migrants. So I have all the sympathies, but then there are also people who have known to be in activities which are criminal activities in Delhi. So there was a NIA investigation. There are a whole lot of things which are associated with Rohingyas. Now, his question about Hindus being allowed, Rohingyas not being allowed, I would rather say, and I have no ill feelings on that, but I have not really heard any of the Hindus who have come to countries like Bangladesh indulging in anti-national activities. But there are documented things related to Rohingyas that wherever they have gone, unfortunately, they have indulged in criminal activities. So there's a lot of difference between, and none of the countries really want them, right? Wherever they have gone, they are really wanting them to go back to their original country, Myanmar. So this is one part of it.
When it comes to politics,
I have observed...
BJP act 9 years ago?
Yeah.
That's the question. I give you another 30, 40 seconds. Do you want to respond to that?
See,
before I go to the next panel.
Yeah, so, that's a very unfair question, in fact, I would say, because it was not established at that time that, they have actually got fake voting identity cards and they are actually changing the entire electorate of many of the constituencies of Delhi. So once it is now highlighted, I think this is very natural that the government will have to act on that.
Okay. I earlier spoke to Mr. O.P. Rawat as well, the former Election Commissioner of India, to try and understand what these allegations are. So if we can have Mr. O.P. Rawat as well at this point. Mr. O.P. Rawat, my question really at this point is, do Rohingyas, is there a complaint that has come up before the Election Commission of India with respect to Rohingyas having the voting rights? Do they have the voting rights? Is there a probe into this? Is there anything that comes up about this? Because technically they are illegal migrants in India.
No, never before fake ID or voter ID or fake voter registration. Because the election commission systems are foolproof and nothing fake can percolate there. It may be that just because of our social milieu, some people might get all that required for getting citizenship on fake grounds. May have happened somewhere, and some persons might have got the citizenship. Once they have a citizenship, then they will be registered as voter, and then they will have voter ID card. One or two exceptional cases may be there. Based on that, some complaint might have come.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rawat, for talking to us. Thank you so much. Ellen Rao, if I can get you in. Look at what Mr. O.P. Rawat has said. There may be one or two exceptional cases. Now, to one or two exceptional cases of which, what Mr. O.P. Rawat is saying, to a whole lot of political rhetoric that's happening, what's the reality? Do you really have voting rights based on fake documentation? Because at least the Election Commission of India is saying they really are not in loop for the official part of it.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. Definitely it is a very subtle law that voting right is only for the citizen of India, not for others. If they are declared a citizen of India, then they have a right to vote. But that we have to see how they can become the citizen of India. That's why that Honorable LG has ordered for inquiry and this verification of their identity. And there are complaints that so many people have created fake identity, fake Aadhaar card, and that's why they have become the voters in Delhi. And more particularly, these Rohingyas are said to be the threat to the Delhi citizens and the security as well as the health issues, because Delhi is already overcrowded, and accepting these Rohingyas as citizens of Delhi, that will create a more and very strategic problem in Delhi. So the verification of these Rohingyas is very important as so far as the elections are in corner. That is also have been
Okay.
reported that these have a voting right also. That may be the reason. And one more thing I want to emphasize on that. In
No, but has
2020-21,
that been established?
Honorable Supreme Court has ordered that all Rohingyas who are illegally immigrants in Delhi, they should be identified and deported from Delhi. But I think 4 years ago, this order was passed. Until now, nothing has been done. And now, at the time of election, if it is ordered, maybe it may be a political issue or may not. But definitely, the Rohingyas are definitely the security threat to the country, and particularly in particular in Delhi. And Delhi is already overcrowded,
Okay.
and they should be identified and deported as per law.
Shelley
As Mr.
Oberoi, you have a right to
Advocate.
respond. You have a right to respond to Ellen Rao, who's not just a lawyer, but also the former DCP of Delhi.
Thank you, Sneha, and good evening, everyone. And first of all, we need to understand before what everybody said, what Aditya Pratapji said about the Foreigners Act, about the Citizenship Act, what Mr. Rahman said, what Mr. Manish said, what Rawaji said, Mr. Rao said. But we need to understand first, we need to know how these people are entering our country. Who is responsible for their entry and the settlement? And I think agreed with the what Mr. Rahman said, that this is totally a political agenda. Why this issue is being raised during the elections only? This is the election propaganda. Why BJP, the state, the central government never do such exercise before elections? Why such these issues are being raised during elections only? And it is evident that who is responsible? Only the central government is responsible. The border security is in the hands of center, is in the hand of Home Ministry. What Mr. Amit Shah is doing, what Rajnath Singh ji is doing, and that is evident from the 2-year-old social media post by Mr. Hardeep Puri ji, who said that BJP welcomes such refugees, BJP welcomes such Rohingyas, and they are ready, they are welcoming by providing EWS houses to those people in Delhi, in Bakkarwala, and they were also ready to provide the basic amenities and also the police protection. So who is responsible? And I think this illegal immigration of the Rohingyas is disturbing the social harmony. There are major security concerns, as well as it is also promoting the criminal activities. What about the law and order? That is also in the hands of central government. Have you seen how the crime rate has increased in Delhi? So these are just the political issues. And Arvind Kejriwal ji, our honorable ex-chief minister, has raised this issue. Why during the elections these issues, these topics are being discussed? And it is also evident that in Delhi, almost in every assembly, thousands of the votes are being cut off from the voter list. Why? And those voters who are alive, who are very much residing in the houses, and especially those who are the supporters of Aam Aadmi Party, the right to vote which is being provided by the Constitution, the right to vote which is given by the Constitution to every Indian citizens. Why we are talking about that this right to vote is given to the citizen of India? First of all, we need to understand there are major security concerns. There are major border security concerns, and who is responsible? Only the Bharatiya Janata Party is responsible for the same.
Okay, Shelley Oberoi, I have to come back to you for a second question. But because you brought in Mr. Puri, I'll get Mr. Manish Sisodia to respond. But let me just read it out to our viewers. We have it on our screens as well. What did Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri say? Not 8 years, not 9 years back. He said this in August 17, 2022. India has always welcomed those who have sought refuge. All Rohingya refugees will be shifted to EWS flats in Bakkarwala area of Delhi. They will be provided basic amenities, UNHCR IDs. They will be provided round-the-clock Delhi police protection. Manish Sisodia.
Yeah, but what happened after that? I think you should also mention that he retracted that statement, and he made a statement that yes, I was out of context, I was quoted out of context, or this entire thing was not in that context, it was mostly on humanitarian grounds. But having said that, I think for argument's sake, let's take up that the central government has been a failure in terms of not being able to stop these illegal migrants to Delhi. But does that mean that Aam Aadmi Party will actually get them citizenship to get and garner some votes? And that is the allegation which has come up against them. So when you see number of voters being removed, it is not as if the citizens of this country are being removed. That is not possible. I think there is a lot of checks and balances going on, and many of these people who have been settled. And is it not known to us that how the entire Bengal, once upon a time left parties and later on TMC also has actually settled these a lot of Bangladesh people in West Bengal, and the demographic profile has changed. So it's not something which is like new, and that's what is happening to Delhi, and which is very something which is disquieting and disconcerting.
Okay, before I go to Atiq Ur Rehman, Shelly Oberoi, to you, because you brought in what Hardeep Singh Puri had said. Let me just bring you this question to carry on what Manish Bariyar is saying. What Manjinder Sirsa spoke on November 27th. He went on to say that there are new votes of Rohingyas and Bangladeshis added in Delhi, men between the age of 30s, 40s, or even in their 50s. Aam Aadmi Party MLAs are involved in adding these illegal voters. Huge allegations against the Aam Aadmi Party.
And we have filed a complaint that why Election Commission is not doing an exercise to investigate all the ID proof of the voters who have been cut off from the voter list. If you will see, and recently, Honorable ex-Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal he did a press conference where more than hundreds of voters has been omitted in Shadra Assembly, and in entire Delhi, in every constituency, thousands of votes have been cut off, especially of those who are the supporters of Aam Aadmi Party, who are Dalit votes, who are poor people. And why Election Commission is not taking any action on that? And this is, I will say that this is a very dirty and the deceitful politics which Bharatiya Janata Party is doing. And I think why we are talking about the citizenship, first of all, we need to know how these people are entering in Delhi. They are entering from Myanmar via Bangladesh, then Nepal, then UP, then they are approaching Delhi. Maybe via Madhya Pradesh also. What the state government is doing, what the chief minister of those BJP ruling states doing, why they are not doing this border security check, why they are not approaching the central government, that there are certain cases that these people are entering their states illegally and they are being settled. This is only the Bharatiya Janata Party who is responsible for the illegal settlement in the city also.
Okay, Atiq Ur Rehman, if I can get you in. Atiq Ur Rehman, I mean, there could be a huge lot of political rhetoric, and obviously as elections near, we're going to hear more of it. But important questions being raised. Of course, you have national security at one end, but even ordinary citizens would want to know this. How true is it that there can be illegal documents, official cards that can be so easily made, whether it be by Rohingyas or by anybody else, and that you get to vote?
Without any ifs and buts, we should admit that political leaders and political parties are known to create their vote banks out of all these migrants. Whether they are legal or illegal is another question. My question is simple, that in West Bengal, if a Hindu member of parliament or the member of state legislature has a vote bank of Hindu migrants, why does the BJP take the support of those migrants at the time of election, but they come to the Muslim names? And there are scores of studies that Muslim names were cut off from the electoral rolls just to benefit the BJP. There are studies conducted and actions have been taken by the central government BJP against those press people who have conducted those studies. One important element to again expose the BJP of their communal agenda is just a 1 month or 2 months back, the Supreme Court finalized the NRC conducted in Assam. And the Supreme Court directed the state government and the central government to issue citizenship cards to the people who have got the names in their rolls. Why so far the same citizens who have been recognized are not issued the citizenship cards? Because they have the Muslim names. So this communal agenda of the BJP.
Well, the fact is that NRC has not been, NRC has not been implemented for that matter. But Manish Bariyar, a minute to you to respond. Manish Bariyar, please come in.
No, I think he's just moving away from the real issue. The real issue is that Rohingya issue is a very, unique issue, and it is pretty troublesome. And looking at the way, had they been very peaceful set of citizens, I don't think there would have been a backlash, something like that. World over, refugees are there, and they come to the country when they are in distress. So from that point of view, humanitarian point of view, there would not have been any issue. But then I think they are being politically utilized by some of the parties that we have seen in past by left parties and TMC. And now we see Aam Aadmi Party doing the same. So therefore, I think that is a bigger issue. That if someone has come, one, antisocial
activities, so is that why this political upheaval happens right before the elections? Are you in a way responding to that?
See, so my argument would be, let's take up, it is election time. But is it incorrect to really look into this issue? Let's assume it is elections. What's wrong if it is election and people are looking into the issue? The largest thing is that they are illegal, and their issues, and election time, it becomes much more important and pertinent to look into that issue, and they should not vote. Isn't it? How did they get this, all these kind of citizenship?
Okay, Shelly Oberoi wants to respond, but Atiq Ur Rehman, you also want to respond. So 30 seconds, 40 seconds to you before I go to Shelly Oberoi. And I would like to go to Ellen Rao after that.
Thank you. So, sir, you mean to say that if the migrants, legal or illegal, if they are peaceful, they can have their voter cards, and the people who have been blamed by the local police and the BJP governments to be, just Muslims, that's why they violate the law and they cannot have the voter cards. This exposes you further, sir.
Okay, Shelly Oberoi, come in.
Absolutely not.
Shelly Oberoi, come in. Shelly Oberoi, while you have the right to respond, Shelly Oberoi, here's the larger question, and this is what the BJP
Mr. Manish
said.
just said that Aam Aadmi Party...
There is...
Mr. Manish just quoted that Aam Aadmi Party is making this a political agenda, but not at all. This issue is being made an election propaganda by Bharatiya Janata Party. In the name of Rohingyas, Bharatiya Janata Party is striking off the names of genuine voter of Delhi in the name of Rohingyas. If Election Commission really feels that they do any investigation in a genuine way, then today our party has filed a complaint with them. They should do a genuine investigation on all the voters which have been striked off from the voter list. I reside in Patel Nagar. I am the example, I am the evidence that almost 12,000 votes from the Patel Nagar constituency has been striked off. So now we should go to Election Commission and just tell them that do an inquiry. Those people are living very much in their own houses. Those people are alive. वो लोग जिंदा हैं. जिंदा लोगों के वोट कैसे काट सकते हैं? ये मतदान का अधिकार is given by the Constitution
Manish Bariyar, 30 seconds, and I need to go to Ellen Rao.
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
Sneha ji, in fact, this is being unnecessarily politicized, because I feel that, a lot of times inadvertently also, we have seen, and it's not even about religion, people's voting, sometimes the name gets cut. It is imperative, and I would urge through you that they should reapply, and I'm sure their names would be out there. It is pretty common, unfortunately, but very common in our country.
Ellen Rao, if I can get you in.
Voting, in voting list, you don't find numbers.
Ellen Rao, a lot of political rhetoric happening, but then there's the other aspect to this. There is public money, there's public taxes, and there's citizens' rights. Citizenship as such has very, very strict clear rules. Of course, we had a major, what do you call it, a curious case of whatever sorts with a BRS MLA who just managed to fake it for so many years, for more than a decade. He held a German citizenship and yet, you know, contested elections in India. But that's a very different ballgame. Questions here being raised that anybody who's not an Indian and manages to get to vote is huge. These are huge allegations. It should not and cannot be taken lightly. But the way the government is moving on this in terms of rhetoric just before the elections, doesn't it say a very sorry state? Because this totally should be a police, intelligence, home ministry high priority.
Yes, ma'am, that definitely that getting a voter right by getting a citizenship by illegally document, then it's a very serious matter. And secondly, I was hearing about Sally O'Brien that she knows everything that how the Rohingyas are coming, from which route, Nepal, other things, and all these things. I just want to ask one question: whether this have been reported by the Aam Aadmi Party that Rohingyas coming from this route to the government of India? No doubt the government of India should also have their own intelligence as how these people are coming into Delhi and how these they are being made citizen of Delhi and citizen of India. But if they are using these fake identity cards, they should have been prosecuted as per law of our land, and the cases should have been registered against them. And now, if the inquiry is being conducted about this on the orders of Honorable Lieutenant Governor, that should be completed, and that inquiry, no doubt, should be fair enough. That there should not be any bias game in that. That the Muslims are only targeted. That is the allegation of Aam Aadmi Party and Mr. Atiq Ur Rehman. But at the same time, the illegal immigrants should be identified because they are changing the demography of our capital, and they are also affecting the voting pattern of the election. In every election, not only this election, coming election, but every election they are changing the voting pattern. So that those people are definitely should be identified. They should be identified, and that if they are illegally have been made citizen of India and they have got a voting right illegally,
no, we cannot compromise the national security.
They should be deleted from the list of their voters.
Mr. Rao, we cannot compromise the national security for the vote bank politics. It is the dirty politics by the Bharatiya Janata Party.
We are also concerned about the security of our capital, and not only the security, the health
such
issues,
illegal deletion
water
of votes are being
electricity.
done by the election commission?
If they are illegal,
Why only
then
such things are being
they are
done during
using
the
the
election?
facilities? Why they should use
There
the
are many questions, ma'am. There are many questions. Which the central
government...
Okay, I'm totally out of time, but I need to go to Aditya Pratap. Aditya Pratap, you had your hands up. Please go ahead.
That's what I'm saying, that any person who is illegally
in law, there is no concept of negative inequality, whether it is election time or whether it is otherwise. If a person is a foreigner who has overstayed his mandate, we may note in the Citizenship Act, in the Passport Act, there is no provision for granting citizenship to a refugee. In addition, we have Section 6 of the Act, which also states the Citizenship Act, that in citizenship by naturalization, an illegal migrant is not entitled to citizenship by naturalization. Third, we had some panelists talking about CAA. The fact remains, a person outside India is not entitled to Article 14 equality. If people of a certain religion minority are given permission to given the right to apply for Indian citizenship, some foreigners of the majority are not. They do not have the entitlement to equality under Article 14, which an Indian citizen would have. So clearly, I say very simply, the law has been there since 1946. Whether it is late, whether it is early, law has to be implemented. No illegal migrant in India can say, why are you coming only during election time? Why did you not come 5 years back? I'm sorry, the law does not provide for this. An illegal migrant has to be deported in accordance with the provisions of the Foreigners Act and the rules framed thereunder. In addition, to enter India without a lawful permit is also a criminal offence. And one needs to see how many criminal offences, how many FIRs are registered by the police forces all over India, and what is the conviction rate.
Okay, I mean, you've raised some questions, and there are only further questions that's going to be raised in course of these elections that are going to come up, particularly in Delhi as well. But the fact remains that in India, Rohingyas are not even refugees, they are illegal migrants. And if that is being used to create documentation for getting rights, including voting rights and citizenship, there are huge questions that are being raised. As of now, what needs to be done is for any political party to establish this beyond rhetoric, because India does not even recognize the UNHCR card for refugee status for these Rohingyas. For now, this definitely is not the last word. Manish Bariyar, Shelly Oberoi, Aditya Pratap, Atiq Ur Rehman, as well as Ellen Rao, thank you very much for joining us and for your time. It's time for a very short break. On the other side, news and updates.